Good morning. The energy didn't come out right. Welcome to a fresh and juicy week on Jasiri. It's Catch Up Monday, and we are about to give you the exciting things that happened during the weekend. But before we bring them to you, and before I ask the ladies how their weekend was, please and please, in the name of God, how did you get here this morning?
It took hours and it cost a lot of money.
My God. If you're in Nigeria, you understand the situation currently. If you're not in Nigeria, I'm just going to tell you there's been a fuel scarcity crisis. Is it scarcity?
Is it really? Because it's not real. It's fake. Yeah, it's a crisis, but it's not like an actual crisis. It's a contrived crisis.
But there are stations that are not selling. And because of that, there are queues at other stations that are selling more expensive. So couldn't it be because there's actually no fuel?
Yeah, but why is there no fuel? It's a controlled. Okay. Oh, I think we have a sneeze because it's tight. What's the intentional withdrawal or. What is happening to me this morning? Exactly, hoarding of the fuel. And now, from what I remember, what I heard, different stations are selling at different prices. Everyone is selling at whatever price they want. Yeah. So it's clear that the ones who have will sell at more expensive prices, and maybe the ones who don't have maybe couldn't afford to buy them.
But yeah, this is a prelude to, and I think we're going to witness it very soon. It's a prelude to fuel price increase, usually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm thinking, really, if you want to plot this graph of fuel scarcity in Nigeria, and if you're a Nigerian who's not in Nigeria anymore, and someone tells you there's fuel crisis, they say, They say, because for them, that's normal. Fuel scarcity has become like normal for us here. So
it's expected every year.
Yeah.
It's like the seasons, the rain,
so there's fuel scarcity again. Yeah, that's a season, man.
It's insane.
How was your weekend, though?
Well,
you weren't feeling too well.
Yeah. My sister, it's the struggle. This is the time where I struggle to pick my struggle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But the weekend was it weekended. I went to the market as usual, and it was interesting. The things I bought for 38,000, almost, yeah.
Oh, things?
Not the thing.
But I thought that the thing, number of things.
It should be one thing, so you're still lucky.
Number of things is a problem. Turkey 7,200 now.
Yeah. But how are you feeling? How are you actually feeling? Because we know that you weren't too well over the weekend.
And then I was trying to be busy so I can, the cough and the cold, there's something in the air.
You're one of those. In fact, Blessings, you were saying this morning that you were also coming down with something.
Yeah,
you're one of those people who doesn't like to stay down when you're sick. You get up, I'm going to work through it.
I think that it has it's dangerous because when it comes hitting you,
you're gonna crash. Yes,
you hard.
Yes.
But I think for me, all I know is just like Catherine said, the week ended.
Yeah. It ended. That's all we can say. All right, talking about weekends and different trends in the country or in the world right now, we live in a digital world where most of our communications are done on the go with our mobile devices.
Yep.
How do you feel when someone takes forever to reply to your texts or your chats, especially when they're loved ones? I'm asking this because there's a post I came across by Opeyemi Ayola. I want to know if you agree with her school of thought. She wrote this. Let's take a look. Never trust someone who always takes hours or days to reply your text or chat or return your calls. But when you're with them, they always have their phone in their hand, checking, texting, chatting, or calling. I strongly believe no one is too busy to spare a minute for a loved one. Okay, let's talk about it.
I'm on this table.
Peace, love, and light.
So I want to believe that the caveat there is when you're with them, they're always with their phones because it's not so easy. I won't lie, I'm very guilty.
I
am very,
you do it?
Very, very guilty.
Wow,
and I've told Catherine several times that sometimes I feel bad about it.
Yeah.
But when you eventually, so for me, it's like, it's part of my to-do list.
Right. Yes.
I don't just chat, right? There's an hour that is designated for
talking on the phone.
responding to messages.
Yeah.
I don't like calls. I don't.
Well, we can
right?
talk about
so
that.
there's an hour that is designated to responding to messages. My challenge though is when you now sit down, say between 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., you want to just respond to messages. As you're responding, you're getting a how are you? How was your day?
And it is
What are you up
continuing
to?
the conversation.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Can you kindly?
Oh.
So I'm like, look, I'm trying here, right? And the thing is, when you're with me,
Yes.
you would hardly see me responding to messages.
Yes,
You will-
true.
because for me, it's mentally tasking.
Yes, it
it's
is.
even when so messages are even easier when my phone is ringing. I'm just like, God no, God
Blessings.
no. I'm serious.
Can we talk about it?
I'm serious.
Everybody in my family.
Yeah.
This is including my father.
Yeah.
Like Annie,
Complaints about
pick up your phone.
So you're guilty
like
of
we
this
don't
as
know if you're alive. If I can look at my phone, I listen to the ringtone, and my eyes are like this. I look like a frightened ferret until that phone stops ringing. I don't feel calm.
serious?
Something is happening. I don't know what it is. I was talking to like a big brother of mine, and he was like, "Yeah, well, you know, it's just the way life is now. It feels like there's so much competing
Yes,
for our
yes,
energy
yes.
that things like social interaction that you can control. So like we can't control, we work together. You can't control the people you have to see. But when you have a moment to control who you don't have to interact with immediately,
Yeah.
you often just choose to,
Yeah.
I'll do it when I can. It's not because you don't love them.
There's no, yeah.
But
So
again,
for
it's
me,
hard to
though,
say that because people feel like if you loved me though,
you would,
you
yeah.
take
So
the
for me
time.
though, there are people that are exempt. I would say my
Yeah.
mother, for example.
Yeah.
If my mom were to call me now,
You pick
I
it
would
up.
excuse myself to walk out. You know, because I'm not saying because I prioritize her over every other
Yeah.
person, but there's some people you know that when you pick their calls is a long talk,
Yes.
Yes.
right? And then there's some people you know that when you pick their calls is going to mentally task you.
Yep.
Maybe they're going to complain about something, and people are not even helping, right? Some people are always calling you when they need your help.
Help.
It might not be financial, right? It might, or some people just even want to call to rant. It's okay, but you should understand that I have my life too,
Yeah.
and I'm going through things too, and I'm not calling you to burden you with it, right? I'm here when you want to talk, but don't make it an everyday thing, right? So I feel like people should go easy.
So easy on me, babe.
Yeah.
I understand where you guys are coming from, and I could easily be on this table. Anyone who's watching the show who knows me will say, even before you land it, they say that's one, the
She's
black
not gonna
one,
pick up.
that's one. She's the one that's guilty. And I always tell people, say, listen, like my sister's here, I look at the phone ringing and I will drop it. Because Blessings has gone to lengths to explain the different type of calls.
Yeah, yeah.
There's family calls that will take hours. You do Zoom on WhatsApp.
Oh, I have a friend. I have
Listen,
a
and
friend.
then, yeah.
When her mom, after any conversation with her mom, even if the conversation was 2 minutes, she's a wreck for like an hour or plus after. Oh yeah, it's really bad. And sometimes I'm privy to the conversations, like it's on speakerphone, and I can understand why she feels so bad
It's
afterwards because
draining.
it's criticism after complaints, after you didn't do this, you were supposed to do this. Have you done your hair? Your hair is not fine. I'm just like, gosh, man. Sometimes your family can be your biggest up. I know it's not popular to say that,
Yeah,
but
but it's
family
true.
can be
It's
your
true, though.
biggest up, and you need to be able to set boundaries and prioritize your mental health and your peace over just the what's the word? The familiarity of, oh, this is my family, I have to do it.
But
No,
do you know
don't
that
have to.
there are the family members that only call you to tell you to start calling?
Yes, literally.
Yes. Like the family members, uncles and aunties that only
You don't call me.
not to ask you how you're doing,
No.
but why don't you call?
Yeah.
We're family. Learn
What's
to
wrong
start
with you?
calling.
You're not
Be
a good
calling.
daughter.
This one, that one. No
Yeah.
matter how busy. All right, bye.
Nothing else.
You know, you said something. You said we are in the age of digital communication, and I'm like saying, with that brings the good, the bad, the ugly. You pick your poison. If you say, I understand that devices are for communication, and sometimes, you know, you might miss work. You know, someone say, I tried to reach you on WhatsApp, you didn't pick, so I couldn't reach you, so you lost out on that.
Yeah, that
opportunity.
has happened to me several times.
That one is so I know that this happens, but also I feel like there should be a balance. I get
Yes.
what you mean. I am forever guilty, believe me, I am. So I do a lot of voice notes. Oh, after a while you're typing, and then if I really want
Voice
like
notes for
Blessings,
the
if I want
win.
Blessings to get something, I'll send a text, send WhatsApp, go to Instagram. Then I rest my case. I don't call. When I call, I ask, oh no, I shouldn't call. I send a text, WhatsApp, Instagram. And
Do you know that
my
somebody
kids.
did something one time? They sent me a WhatsApp message for days I didn't see it. And this is one of my closest friends. And then the person sent the screenshot of the message. They didn't type the message. They sent the screenshot to my DM. For days I didn't see it. And then they posted on their story and tagged me.
It's not true.
I'm like, I deserve it.
I see the message now.
I deserve it.
I mean, what is the longest time you have taken, well, intentionally? I know that one Seth is there.
Oh, okay.
Have you intentionally ignored or taken forever to reply somebody?
Yes.
Not
and why?
Currently doing it.
Why?
We'll still do it in the future. Because, so here's the thing.
Yes.
I don't believe in ghosting. I think ghosting is one of the most immature, emotionally abusive things that you can do.
Ghosting, blocking,
Exactly. However, if I cannot bring the part of me that you need to that conversation, I'm going to hold off on it. Because
until you can.
Until I can. Because what is the point of interacting with someone who needs something that I cannot give at the time? And this is not, like you said, it's not about money. It is, sometimes a person needs an ear, sometimes they need you to advise them. Sometimes they need you to tell them, what you're doing is wrong, stop.
Yes.
If I am not mentally prepared or in that space myself, I'm not adding any value to your life. So I can say, hey, I'll just give me a moment, give me a few days, I'll get back to this. But when I say a few days, best believe it's a few days. It's not a few hours. It can be like the whole week.
And do you know there are actually people who, you know, they need your advice, but you know they won't listen.
Yes.
And it has happened over and over again. Like, so you're coming to me. I told you not to do this thing. Then you're coming to me that you've done it. What should you do? Sometimes I know it's not fair, but sometimes I ignore you until you figure it out. And then you by yourself, you're not coming and say, oh, that's what I did. I'm like, oh wow, really? And I'll respond very fast. But unintentionally though, there was a time I was already zoning out of Facebook and someone sent me a message in 2017. The person sent me good morning. I responded good evening in 2020.
Hi.
And I only responded because apparently the person was my sister's friend. Then my sister said the person tried texting me some time ago. I didn't even see the year. I responded good evening and then I saw that the good morning came in 2017. No. I'm sorry. We can continue in 2024. It's not too late. Anyway. Okay, so now I think for me though, the one thing that annoys me the most is people who feel, what I say, entitled to your time, especially people that are not even close to you. The people who would message you, you haven't heard from them, they haven't heard from you for years, and then they say something like, you just forget person Abi. And I'm like, do you have a bad memory? If I forgot you, you should have remembered me.
Yeah, also, I need to know you to forget you. Like, we need to be actively in each other's lives. Let's be honest. Like, I mean, you get DMs where people say, hi. So I wait, and I'm like, okay. So, hi, then what do you want to say? Because from what I remember about communication, you're supposed to pass a message across. If you're saying hi, there really isn't any, that's the end of the message. So I don't have to respond to that.
Thank you.
So people don't know how to talk.
Hi. Send. Good morning. Send. How are you today? Send. How was your send? Have you not seen that one? They've not yet arrived at where they're going. But you were going to tell us about
I was saying that there was a class I was taking one time about sales, and the person literally said that when you go to a person's DM, either for sales or partnership or anything, or even mentorship, and you only say hi, best believe you are never getting a response.
Ever.
Most times, like if I say New Central, for example, if I want to reach out to someone for an interview, I don't even start by hi, good morning. Or maybe, hi, my name is Blessings. I work with, so you know that I mean business, and we want you to do this, do that, do this, come for an interview. And
then you get someone's attention.
And then you respond whenever you want to respond. Exactly. And most likely there's a response.
There's going to be a response.
But you say hi and then you're waiting for a hello and then, how are you?
Fine. No, but we don't know each other. That's not how, I think that we are losing the art of communication. I think that's something that's happening in this generation a lot. People are forgetting how to talk to one another and actually go deep. So the conversation graduates and it gets deeper.
They didn't know it first. They didn't know it at
doesn't
first.
go anywhere these days. It's just
they didn't learn it at first. How to talk, how to communicate. They never learned it.
And I am starved to almost near death for good conversation. It's not like you have to go and look for your father's friends to talk to when you want to have a conversation. It's like, what is happening?
But good conversations, what we bring you here on Jasiri. Don't worry about that. Good conversations, that's our thing. But we'll take a short break now. Don't go anywhere. When we return, This is Catch Up Monday, and we'll bring you the hottest stories over the weekend. Stay tuned. This is Jasiri.
Welcome back. We're streaming live on all our social media platforms at News Central TV. Join the conversation by using the hashtag Jasiri. Now, we keep talking about challenging narratives, stereotypes, and gender roles, and the right to do so isn't solely for the female gender. I watched a video of a man who says he doesn't want to be the head of his family, and he doesn't understand why he should be the sole provider when he and his wife are both educated and employed. So, I have some questions for us. Would either of you or any woman you know, would you advise them to marry a man who says, first, two questions. We do things 50-50, so we go Dutch, because there's some 50-50 men. Or a man who says, I want to be a house husband, because in other parts of the world, there are men who are house husbands. The women go, they go to work, the man stays back, he takes care of the kids, takes them to school, all of that stuff. So, go. Whoever is ready to go first.
So for me, the second one is even a no. I won't do it. I won't advise anybody. If anybody comes to me with it, I would criticize the person. That one is a no. Right.
Yeah.
Well, for the first one though, the splitting 50 going Dutch, I feel like again it's what works for you. Right. It's based on the conversation you've had. The social media influencer Kiki once granted an interview, and she said she can never. In fact, for her it was like, how would you allow your husband to do everything for you? Yeah. For her, it was more of it's a taboo if they're not splitting it 50-50. So don't be surprised. It's not only men that have this mindset. Women too, right? Yeah. And some people will say it's because she has. Whatever works for you is fine. But as long as you have that conversation, and that's why I've said it for the opt-in time. What are you talking about when you're dating, if not these things, right? So you don't surprise yourself when you get married. Like, I never said I was going to provide. Who said that? You go out, I go out. Yeah. And again, some people do not start off wanting to split 50-50. But in the case where you relocate, for example, and then everybody has to, sit up and bring money. You would not say, we didn't have this conversation, alone. Or you didn't say that. You would know you have to sit up and bring the money. Yeah. So,
well, I will differ a bit, because I really don't have a problem if a man says he wants to be a house husband.
Oh, really? I
don't have a problem with house husband. My brother, if you want to house husband, let me feel like I'm the boss. So let me go out. Let me go on. You to take care of change the diapers, clean the house. Sweep and mop and cook.
It didn't say that though.
No, house husband. Now, what do housewives do? Is the opposite of that. No,
there's some people that want to be sit-at-home men, but they don't want to be kept husbands. Men. Yeah, they don't want to do that.
So you are saying house husband.
Okay, so house husband.
Now, so define house husband before we end.
He does all the work that the woman would do if she was at home.
So you're fine with that?
No, I'm okay with that.
But isn't that exhausting though?
No, for who? For me?
Yes.
No, because I know that for me, it's a part of a 50-50 split. I'm out there, you are in there. So if I come to the house is clean, the house is tidy, there's food, the kids are done, homework is done as well. And then
the feminists are gonna come for
no,
I'm gonna be dragged to the streets of Lagos, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
You want to be a housewife?
Listen, no, not a housewife, but there are certain things about my sensibilities that are old school and like traditional.
And I get that,
see, men and women are not the same. Okay. We are equal, but
we have our
different.
Roles cut out for us,
we're different. There's the way that men were built and designed. They have they have a lot more stamina. They have a lot more strength. Even sometimes, in some areas, mental strength. So there's certain things that men can and were designed to face that women were not. Now, I'm not saying women shouldn't work. I'm sitting here, I'm working, my mother works, I'm a working woman. But honestly, I want to be able to say to my boyfriend or my husband, hey babe, I'm taking you away for a long weekend. I'm paying for the vacation this time. Okay. But the norm is that he's like, he knows that that's his job. He's the provider. I'm not going to make him do everything.
Okay, so let me interrupt you here. Is it because we are here in Nigeria, in Africa? If we went abroad, like let's say, went abroad and something happened and I'm the one that becomes the breadwinner and he has to be home because someone has to be home to take care of the kids because maybe our kids are still young. So if you were abroad, you wouldn't have a problem with that?
So here's the thing, I've got family abroad and I understand how that system works. But I also have people who operate this traditional system where it's like, listen, my wife works, but my wife's money is her money. and my money is our money. I know men like that. And maybe that is why I have this at the back of my mind, that a man is created. I even think that there's something inside a man that feels fulfilled when he provides for his family.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why 50-50. I'll go to the next question because we can't win on this. I hear you, but you know. The next question was that, would you go 50-50? Would you,
Yeah, would you?
That would, people say that it's a man's traditional, or men feel like, that's where I feel men feel like, wow, they feel it's a manly thing that they're taking care of the bills and they're, and I've interacted with a lot of young people this weekend, and what I hear is that, I want somebody who will take care of young people. When I say young people, my son's mates in uni. I want to, and this is the hand though, I'm serious, this guy, and I just kept looking at the hand when they were saying that, I want a man who can look after me, like, can afford my cream, I can afford my lifestyle, I can afford my, this is what they will, that's what. So you get a lot of young women, young girls, who are thinking in that line. I want a man to take care of everything for me. And funnily enough, you find men like that who are willing to take care of everything.
I believe that not every, but majority of the women are thinking in that line. Only the younger ones are bold enough to say it.
Voila.
Right? But the question now comes down to, even if you get that man that does all of these things for you, when the tides turn, when life happens, are you willing to? Because there's some people that would never.
Yes.
They would never. They would rather drink garri together. And the funny thing is, they have the money.
And the man will and they tell the man, and the man says, okay, I understand where you're coming from. They don't think about that tomorrow. They don't think about when the tides turn, because they keep praying, it's not my portion. It won't come to that. We have made investments in such a way that, we can roll
have
with
something
the punches.
to
they
fall back
don't
on.
think in that way.
So I feel like there's a difference, and we have to point out the difference clearly. It's different when you want a man to provide for you because you cannot provide for yourself. And when you want a man to provide for you, and even if he cannot, you can still provide for yourself. It's two different things. It's coming from different places. And I think that women who can work, do work, have, their own life and their own goals, but still end up with men who provide for them, their energy is very different. It's not a desperate energy. And the men know it. They know that, listen, if I mess up, this woman can do for herself. But and I don't want to say
they haven't stopped anything. Even they mess up, even when they know that, she can do for herself, sometimes it gives them the gusto.
Not everybody.
Not really. Not everyone.
Because they know that even if I go, because sometimes I'm saying that it also challenges them and makes them feel some kind of pressure, because they say, even if I'm not doing a beg, she'll be able to take care of herself.
There are hormones in men that, testosterone, for instance, and I'm about to go a little biological. This hormone makes men see things, do things, think in a completely different way from women.
Ego.
Yes. So being able to go out, come back with something that is going to sustain your family, that is actually one of the functions of testosterone. It's not just about, I can't say it's semen on TV. It's not just about procreating. It is about providing, protecting. So I think that part of the problem, because we're talking about it in the locker room just now, and we're like, it feels like the men of this generation want women to pursue them. And the tables are turning. And I keep saying, I'm not a feminist, not because I don't believe in equality for women. I'm not a whatever way feminist we are in right now, because I feel like we are conflating equality for equity, and they're not the same thing. Men and women are not
they're not the same.
They're not the same.
Biologically,
we are equal, but we're not the same.
They're not the same.
Yes, and this turning of the tables where we don't know who is who anymore and who is what. It's actually, I feel like it's throwing the balance out of order.
Well, this is what we call evolution. What we were used to 20 years ago is not what we're seeing now. There was things that were so traditional, so sacrosanct, those lines are blurred now. Hell, there are no lines even.
There are no lines anymore.
So if a man comes to tell you, I don't want to be the head of the family, or listen, I want to be at home, I feel more connected to, this is what, that's a special kind of, for me, that's on another level, because you trust yourself not to be diminished, and you trust who you're with not to be diminished, for you to say that this is the option I choose. Anyway, guys, it's not a battle we will win on this thing. We can argue the pros and the cons, but let me take you to our next story. And my people, you know that when it comes to the spiritual, my ears are piqued with interest. Not to the Nigerian and African pastors. If you collect money from congregants, you should be prepared to show what? To show working.
Thank you.
That's why I like this post by Femi Adepoju. He wrote, and I quote, I donated money to a cause in our church in Nottingham, and after a week, the Igbo pastor found time to write me and send me the total amount they received and how they spent it. I started giving monthly with direct debit too, and church finance found time to write me and thank me, telling me that my giving can even reduce my tax. I joined Food Bank Group to help the homeless who we preach to and feed every Wednesday. And I asked the assistant pastor how they used to source for the food, and the detailed reply was sent to me with a note of thanks. No abuse, no it's above your level phrase, no nonsense reply. Nigerian churches need to learn accountability and the ease of running church. I do not think I will be able to attend any African version of church again, even in Nigeria.
We're not ready for this conversation.
No, not at all.
We should be. Tides are turning. We are evolving.
We are not ready.
We have to. The truth is, if we don't hold them accountable, or we don't, everybody runs like an autocratic government. A mini autocratic government is running churches. Churches will tell you, oh, you're not privy to this. You're the head of this. You see somebody, oh, I'm in protocol. I'm escorting the ministers here and there. I'm in choir. I'm singing. We have practice every. So, guys, if we don't demand and begin to, what's the word, exige, demand to show workings, we will always be taken for granted. We say that, oh, the government takes us for granted. But guess what? That's the government at the larger scale. Look at the government in front of you, which is the church, because we all need an anchor. And we anchor ourselves in church because we need where we can commune with our God, whoever it is, whichever God you're serving. We need that anchor. So church is where we run to, and you see in churches, the first round of offering, the ones with the 1,000 naira notes, you come out, you drop. If you have 500, there's even where the 50 naira stuff is not allowed, to drop in churches. But and I've heard there's some churches that when the offering is done, it is put in a Ghana must go and put in the pastor's back seat of his motor.
Wow.
Or her motor.
Oh, okay.
And then she zooms off and there's no accountability. But people are grumbling. But you don't dare say anything to the pastor. Because, he's the man that God speaks to. So we deify. We deify the pastors that I'm going to say something. Pastor our churches. And
I don't think a lot of pastors or congregants are going to like it. I'm Christian, but I'm going to say this without mincing any words. Many pastors or supposed men of God are narcissistic people. And one thing about narcissistic people is they don't like being held accountable. If you try to have them be responsible for their behavior, be held accountable for the things that they do that are wrong, they're going to kick back against this, and they're going to make sure that you know that you are the one that's wrong.
But who builds the narcissistic behavior? So who is the one that contributes to that?
So here is
for
the
the
thing.
pastors?
I think that it's kind of like the way they say money brings out the evil in people. It's not true. Poverty hid the evil in you. It was already there. Money didn't create it. Whoever you are on a small scale, no matter what it is you have in life, it's just going to amplify what you already are. You're not going to become a narcissist as an adult because you are now in a place of leadership. You already had that. You've had those tendencies. You were unable to take accountability, unable to take responsibility for your behavior in a smaller office. Now you have a lot more people who are praising God through you, which is not the way it's supposed to be, because we are all supposed to have access to God. And absolute power corrupts absolutely. And a lot of men of God have absolute power in their churches.
It's funny how what's coming to my mind is not to disagree, but play the devil's advocate, right? A lot of people would say things like, you're yet to get your government accountable. These countries we're talking about are people whose government can account for where your taxes are going to. But we haven't done that yet. So let's just see the president as the pastor of the church that is Nigeria. We haven't done anything about that. So you cannot narrow it down. We've always said that the government is a reflection of the people. So we can't narrow it down and expect that from churches. But it should be a situation. Now, it might be a tall order to ask that the breakdown of your expenditure, your profit be sent to every single person that donated, right? But at least the best you can do is stand on the altar or the podium, wherever, and say the money is going to so and so. Even that it's questionable because you can
pad
lie
it
up, you can do this and do
Yeah.
that, but at least you owe people that much. But another set of people would argue that if you're not comfortable enough with not getting the feedback or accountability that you're asking from pastors, maybe just go to Oshodi and give the beggars there your
A
tithe.
lot of people do that.
I know
They've
people
taken
do
their
that.
tithes
because
to the
most people would
street.
say that, and I'm one of those
Another,
people
yeah.
that if I'm giving my tithe to whoever, wherever, it's like there's people that believe in tithing to their parents.
Yes.
You know that.
Yes.
If I'm giving my tithe to my mom, I won't ask her tomorrow, Mommy,
What
where
did you
did that
do
money go?
with
What did you do
That's
with that
true, that's
money?
true, though.
So if I am expecting feedback for what I chose to give voluntarily, there's a problem with me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So people can argue that as well. That if you chose to give to church, you chose. They didn't force you. If you chose to give to
But
church,
yeah.
then don't
That's actually
expect
true.
feedback.
You know that's two different. Now we are separating it. There's offering and there's tithe. So if you're talking tithe, you're saying okay, the tithe goes
Yeah, I
to the
think even
church.
for
goes
offering,
to the
all of
church.
them is I think for
offering as
too.
well. If you keep saying okay, like the churches, what projects are the churches doing? Should they co-opt people? Because I know that when it comes to religion, we're quite blind, and we don't want to. We want to hear the things that we want to hear, and we are very defensive of our. Have you heard people defending
we're
their
very
pastors?
defensive.
No, my pastor is almost.
Yeah.
You have to tell them, calm down. It's not me. It's not
His
that.
voice, he is God, we're all
Really?
serving.
Yeah, but you know,
yeah.
some people just they take this thing hook, line, and sinker. My question is, who accounts for the finances of the church? Do they have an accounting house? Do they have a group of people who are top in the hierarchy of the church? Who these monies are? I don't know. How do churches give accounts of their
So
monies?
from what I know, right, I've been Anglican for years and now I attend a different church, but I have seen a level of structure. Now, I'm not saying that there are not people there that are like, siphoning, but I know that to some extent there is a financial department.
Yes.
After every service, the ushers would submit it to this, somebody
Yeah.
is counting the money, and that's why in some cases you hear that a woman in church ran away with all the money,
money.
the financial manager.
Yeah.
Like, how did she get all the money? It's because she was
That's her
put in charge of it,
department. Yeah.
right? So I know that to some extent, some churches have that structure, right? And that's why if you go to a church where the account number, some people, especially during COVID, they didn't take offering like by hand. They will tell you to send.
transfers.
If you go to the church and the account number is the pastor's account number, there's a problem.
Big problem.
Because I know that most churches have their account.
Yeah, but how
Yes.
many people will complain if it's the pastor's account? How many people will complain
So
that?
it
you
boils
will still
back
send
down
the
to
money,
what I'm
then you might
saying.
grumble, pero you will send the money.
Go and give it to someone else.
Because people worship their pastors
And not God.
Not God.
Yeah.
I've
We are
said
not-
it. I feel like in this country, Nigerians, we have like 3 gods or 4. The first one is money. We talk about God a lot, but a lot of people will throw God under the bus in a heartbeat for a good paycheck. So it's
Love
money.
it.
And then our pastors or our men of God, even whether they are men of God or not. And then our parents.
Black taxi.
Yep. And then our God. We will listen to all these people first before we actually say, okay, Lord, what is it that you want me to do? And I think that it's an abuse of all the different powers that we, because poverty has abused us, religion has abused us, our parenting styles have abused some people. Yeah. And so,
Accountability and church, for me, I don't think, if you ask me how reasonable, how practical it is, except maybe there are a few churches, a handful, who will come out and say, oh yeah, we are quite transparent with that
And
here
well,
in Nigeria, but I don't think so.
Let's also be factual. The arrow is not only directed to churches,
Yeah.
right? It happens in mosques too.
Facts.
And I want to believe that traditional worshippers also have their structure.
Yeah, religious
So-
institutions. of
Facts.
course.
Yeah.
So, anyways, it's quite unfortunate though, moving from that conversation, that we have found ourselves in a country where we're no longer safe. Now we live in fear, we live in poverty, and darkness. Now, kidnappings have become a norm in this part of the world. Recently, 20 dental students from Maiduguri were kidnapped while traveling to Enugu for a convention. Now, the kidnap happened in Benue State, and we know this because one of the students managed to share their location, indicating that they were in Oglewu Ehaje area in Benue State. The question is, when will Nigeria ever be a safe place for us? 20 students.
All right, they said they will start killing us tomorrow, requesting 50 million for 20 of us medical students. Please help us, we haven't eaten for 2 days. Plus, that is who we are gathering the money with.
Well, so what I'm going to say to this effect is, first off, I'm glad that we are taking up this story and that, to some extent there is proof of that, because again, Nigerians are opportunists.
Oh, yes.
Right? So the ones who have come up with different stories just to get money. Have tarnished what like the things that have happened in the future. I remember one doctor that was shot in the is it Lagos Kaduna? Abuja Kaduna. My cousin was also shot in that in that train. Now the doctor was shot and she was injured, and she tweeted, "I've just been shot," and you needed to see the comments. You were shot and you can still type.
Yes.
You were shot and you let's say a picture. Show us proof. They dragged this until she died. Right. So immediately I saw that tweet. What came to my mind is, first off, how many people will believe this story? But we know that kidnappings are happening and people are not safe.
Blessings, you know, this thing that you've said, it comes very, very sorely back to, I always talk about empathy. I can't stop talking about it because honestly, I believe it is the bedrock for every good thing that human beings can do. When empathy is affected from one end, that's how you see things like, oh, you are shot, show us the picture. Oh, someone says, I think that I want to leave the world. And then you're like, go now. If you really wanted to, you would have done it without saying anything. People don't care.
Would you blame them? We have so many artists that have died and come back.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It is from both sides. Listen, if you are an empathetic person, it means you're a kind person. Kindness and niceness are not the same thing. Niceness is a means to an end. I can be nice to you to do something bad to you, but I can't be kind to you and hurt you. So when the pillar of a human being, one of which is kindness, has been sawed in half, the people who pretend to die are not kind-hearted because they're taking advantage of people. The people who now don't even listen also. So it affects from both sides. And I'm saying we have an empathy crisis in the world, but in Nigeria specifically, people don't care about each other anymore. And it's a big issue.
It's funny how Nigerians choose what to react to, what to give their empathies to. It's funny. Remember, it was on the show we talked about a man who was bemoaning his fate. I think he had triplets or quadruplets, and he was struggling with bills. And Nigerians came together and raised 15 million, I think, for him. So I don't know how we choose, whether it's the wave of empathy, the wave it's a certain time of day, or that the wave that breeze just blows, the breeze of empathy blows.
So I think that's on the part of credibility. But for this one, I think the Medical Association, the Nigerian Medical Association tweeted about it. If we have the tweet, let's take that now. Okay, so while we're waiting for the tweet, I know that they have responded to that, and it's fact.
Which is positive.
It's actually fact.
Positive.
Okay,
Hopefully.
so it's a long read. It's a long read, but they're requesting for an intervention in the abduction of medical students in Benue State.
Do you think this is enough?
Well, so here's the thing. I don't know what else to say or who to blame at this point, because it feels as though when it comes to movement or transportation, we do not exactly prioritize, and by we I mean the government, the safety of people, even people who are serving the government. I would not stop saying this. I remember, I think it was 2020 or 2021 when kidnapping was on the rise. It wasn't even a case of kidnapping. Some students were going for their National Youth Service, and then there was a memo that was sent. Now, they tried to deny the memo, but you know that it was eventually leaked. And in that memo, there were a list of things to bring, things to do, when to come. And somewhere in there was, I don't know if it was a sarcastic statement, but something about be careful or hold your ransom, because we do not have ransom to pay.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Oh guys, so we have to talk about that, but we need to take a quick break because what? We will be back shortly. Stay with us. This is Jasiri. My goodness.
All right, welcome back. This is still Jasiri, and you wouldn't want to go anywhere. Before the quick break, we were talking about the story of the kidnap of Nigerian medical students, and it's heartbreaking because off the air we're talking about after spending 7 years in medical school, or you're on the journey to 7 years, why are you desperate to kidnap someone that you're kidnapping 20 students? And what kind of ransom, what are you kidnapping them for? What use are they to you? And I know Blessings was trying to bring up the stance of Nigerian Medical Association.
Yes, I did find it, just to clarify, in case because it sounds like absurd. Because if I didn't see it, I wouldn't have believed it. So this was in September 2021, and it says, in what appears to be a bold volte-face, the authorities at the NYSC, that's National Youth Corps, have admitted that copies of its pamphlets containing security tips for staff and corps members containing the embarrassing clause that advises corps members to prepare to pay ransom if abducted is true. Now, the organization noted that it realized that different copies of the pamphlets are in circulation, with some containing that clause and others not containing it. And they said that they're investigating the situation. That was in 2021. I remember vividly,
imagine that?
and it happened.
So how would you feel, how safe would you feel to allow your ward or your child to go on the National Youth Service Corps? I understand
your ward
that
or your child? Yourself, yourself.
And it sounds a lot like cars are parked at owner's risk.
Literally.
Yes.
It's like, well, if something happens to you, okay. I think Peter Obi actually responded. I think he tweeted or something. He reacted to this kidnap. Can we take a look at that, please? Oh, yes, he did. Right. When I say we should declare war on the economy, power and insecurity, some people spin the narrative while others complain. But what else can we do? In the last 24 hours, several people have been kidnapped across Nigeria, including about 20 dental students from Maiduguri. The tweet goes on to say, this can't happen, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it says something about an Anambra State Commissioner and his wife were abducted in Edo State, and others traveling with them were killed. These are just a few of the many tragic incidents happening across the country. A commissioner. So listen, if a commissioner that is supposed to, it still goes on. We cannot continue living in fear, poverty, and darkness. It's time for bold action, collective resolve, and a united front against these challenges. Well, if a commissioner who is supposed to have security, have aides, and have like a whole protocol around him, can be abducted, because they didn't say that they escaped.
Yes.
They were taken, their aides were killed. What hope do like regular schmoes have?
That's what I'm saying. And we just keep going on as if it has become normal in the country.
That's what it has been normalized. And again, I know you guys are going to say I've come again.
You have not come again.
Empathy. No, people don't care. If you care about people, there are things you will make sure doesn't happen to them. Our government, you have a person or people who feel like human lives are just, we don't care about human lives anymore. What's one more person that was shot? What's one more person that was abducted and their family never sees them again?
Is that desperation? Is that what
desperation.
is it? Is it hunger in the land?
It's a separation from self.
Is it bad? Is it spiritual self?
This is the same country where its security forces accidentally bombed civilians that they were going to save from terrorists in a rescue mission. Accidentally. And it was tagged, is it war damage? What's that thing they call it?
Damage control?
No, something of war. Casualties
of war. We have really bad PR, guys, like really bad PR. Honestly, I mean, if you're going to rescue people, then you kill them. If people get on the roads and they don't know, am I going to come back home today? Because literally, someone can just pick me up off the road and nobody's going to do anything. I remember there was a time, I'm not sure, but Americans, I think some Americans in like, I wish
just
I had
hold that thought. Let's quickly go on a quick ad break. We'll be right back. This is Jasiri, guys, and it's Catch Up Monday. All right, we're finished selling market. We're back live in the studio. Annie and Blessings are with me in the studio. I know before the break, Annie was saying something about the Americans.
Yes, and essentially, I'm just going to wrap it up because I know we have to move on. They went in there and got their people. We don't have that hope. You can't run to your embassy in another country and be like, oh, my life is in danger, because we don't. Like, literally, who are you? And whose child are you? I'm even speaking bad English. It's so frustrating.
I don't know how long we will be forced, or we will have to manage the situation, because we've even stopped demanding for answers, like demanding for. We just find an alternative, Sha.
Yeah,
you get what I mean? Like you find an alternative. It's clear in the everyday life. You go to the bus stop. There's traffic 5 minutes before you get to where you're supposed to descend. Do you know people just come down from the bus and just keep moving?
Yeah.
Like it's normal. Like they don't mind the fact that I have to trek a couple more minutes to get to where I'm going to. So we've just adapted everything, and I don't know if that's a plus or a minus.
It's a minus because if I was to term Nigeria as anything, if I was to give it another name or name the phase that we're in, it feels like the prelude to anarchy. That is where we're at, because if you strip people of everything, the one thing the human being will do is survive. That's what the brain was designed for. It will find a way to survive, even if it means cannibalizing others. So yeah, I feel like we're at the prelude to anarchy. People are going to start taking up arms for themselves, because if my government won't protect me, I have to protect myself and my children and my whatever and whatever. Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
We're taking all of that for granted. That, it's Niger, you know how we are in Niger. No.
Until people start...
This that you...
Yes, literally.
This that you said is heavy.
Yes.
And it's our reality, whether we like it or not. We are living in a fast-paced, ever-changing world. We keep saying that it seems like everywhere in the world is moving except us. Even Kenya, even small Benin Republic, everybody's just going somewhere. It's like we are stuck in a mud where Poto are staying our wife.
It really held us down, man. Like, we're at the Mary Clay.
What is the problem? Are we too many to govern? Are we? Because I know we are a lot for one country. But what seems to be our problem? If we ask, what do you think Nigeria's problem is? And I don't want to hear government, because whether we like it or not, that's a reflection of who we are. These are people who didn't grow up in Kazakhstan and come back and say we're coming to rule. These are people who walk the same earth and walk the same streets of Lagos and in Nigeria that are, so what is our problem?
Okay, you don't want to hear government.
In 15 seconds.
You don't want to hear government. I'll say governance. Choice of governance. Because as much as we know that, okay, they are the reflection of who we are, first of all, yes, I completely agree that somehow there's something in us that allows us to choose the people that keep doing this to us.
Yes.
So our choices, it's like we're a reflection of our choices.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly what it is. And our choices are informed by our upbringing. And if your upbringing is rude, listen, guys, I'm telling you, just hear me out. If in your upbringing you have trauma, you have been marginalized, when you grow up, you have two choices. And many people, unfortunately, go with this first one. I'm going to become the monster that made me. The thing that broke me, I'm going to break other people in that exact same way. Few people choose to say, listen, I was broken like this, and I'm going to make sure that nobody else that passes through my hands, none of them will be broken that way.
I know.
Few people, I say many few people, wow. Come on, Annie, come on, girl. Hold it together.
That's a sign.
Yes.
That's a sign.
It's a sign.
Let's go home. On that note
of many few people, it's time for us to skedaddle out of the studio. That's all that we can take for today. Thank you for joining us. Remember to stay tuned Mondays to Fridays for the best. No way. Can't you kill me? For the best topics, discussions, and everything that you need to know going on from the ladies and I.